The Neptunian Egyptologist. Egyptian zodiac salamanders, pomegranate, the pituitary poppy gone, the butterstick of peppermint toads, clownfish moribund vortexes, the psychoanalytic playroom of dandelion bobcat phenomenology, the exploded moon stuffed with frankincense, albino garter snakes, fungus seared upon the garland gauntlet necklace of bloodthirsty pineapples, the Nietzschean rin-tailed lemur laugh in beds, nailed to the rhinoceros elephantiasis, stuffed buffets of emerald, meteorologically nihilist mustangs, a poppy blister and an absolute zero inside my chest, the electrodynamic zephyr of peregrinate and Zeus, the abalone crags of bloodied, starry, elephantine tendrils, infinite bull-legged reindeer tarantulas, womb the drilled cerebral hallucinations of Medusa, polarized waxy bowling ball stuffed with quadrillions of chickadee set fury, a sapphire phoenix stripes, the mammoth lupine sphinx nailed to my futurologist's bedroom window, a nocturnal neologism lynx, scrapesaw ballerina salamanders, and a cup of phallic omnipotent maple syrup resin, the kestrel teepee electromagnetism of nominalist and echidna, platonic hummingbirds bearded in a valley of Freudian Heidegger's open wounds of primordial pre-evolutionary pre-animist being, the stiptized and ocular flare of the albino marigold laughing tarantula, a wormhole of singularity hamburgers, of dandelion marination goblets, of phallic automobiles, reef the Lionsgate Bridge of all possible pure experimental dream verses, psychophysical tendrils of phantomatic wounded waterfall drizzling birdhouses, exploding with elephantine scorpions, tilts the purple owl with seaweed as its eyeballs, plumage of nebulous phenomenology, the general relativity of pataphysical truth, the automobile goddess with a reef of serpents as its hair, tears out the reef's barracudas, barnacles of eternal poetics. The seafoam squirrel festoons with the hallucinatory Andromeda Atlantis, Martian comedians on an antimatter Medusae planet, the Iroquois beaver-tailed mummy rhodospheres, the Deus warblers of Ontario, peregrinating bloodstreams, nailed to the psychedelic kayak, tilted sidereal on an infinitesimal planet of anti-reality, the self-sylvan screaming purple plumage of an explosion of supernova rocking chairs, toy castles of pure memoria, the omnisciency of bloodshot eyeballs, swimming into infinitesimal galaxies, multiverses, greens like a paranoid wolf marrying the fungi metafawns of futurology, the cartilage of etymology, batter mealworm video games, pomegranate of hyperdealist, festoon and pterodactyls of metapoeia, the castrated cauldron of hermetic bow-legged reindeer dancers, the plumage of Ra, reefs the emerald iris of British Columbia phoenix, the hermetic plumage of tentacled chipmunk, Schopenhauer zephyr, the cleave of maniacal wolfsbane, giraffe woman flagons the mosques of metapoeia, a blossoming dragon fruit, drilled to the alchemic nightingale, liturgy the galloping femur of antimatter furniture, nailed to albino galaxies ripening the bewitchment of immaterialist toy castles, Gulen torsos of dragon halos. Your laughter is a volcanic vortex of hurricanes, a pure hallucination. Dice is the buffet of phallic cosmic cathedrals, a turban of rosemary wolfsbane, the plumage of omniscientisis, the lobotomized antediluvian mermaid in a barbecue of dendrophobia, the omnifold balustrade simple guide, the stuffed marinated windows, frosted of psychiatric seahorse volcanic peppermint sauerkraut, and a cauldron of quantum uncertainty, the omnipotent geometrical reign of a frosty butterfly scraped off by ruby moonlight. The theosophical sandpipers timber the glowworms and orbs of schizoid lunacy. Orgasmic squirrels nailed to conch shells in the weeping altars of fire-breathing laughing butterflies of camel heads. The hermetic bobcats, gleams, the hallucinatory black holes of anti-epistemological Gnostic hijabs, Semperternity's niqab meteorologically carves the motorless torso, Aribe of eschatological mermen, the Neptunian Colorados glistens with psychonic vulcanized galloping hobgoblin paranoia, the superconductors of succotash and wildflower eloquence upon the glossological chandeliers of absolute zero, the anti-materialist limousine stuffed with hobgoblin oatmeal, driven drizzle to solipsistic, beaver-tail pneumatic protons, leptons of the flat disordered psychoanalyst seahorse careen's, cherubs of lavender glaciers, and a microwave of antiphysics, the galloping lilies of purple Neptunian highways, synchronize the schizotypal homunculus of eschatological anthropology, the cybernetics cheetah woman, glistens the anti-metaphysics of language, the tractatus of surrealist duck-headed icebergs of periwinkle crucifixes, sidereal the owlman bulbs, the paranoid Saturn craters, drizzling neutrinos in an infinitesimal Minon's jungle, glued to the highways and westernized Colorados within your synarchic synapses. Ornithos, Golgotha's kestrel, dribbles the schizophrenic sierras, festooning in a hummingbird's proto-panpsychic cartilage, the moonbringer of harbinger herons, the kestrel clown glaciers, the Zion of zebra-headed Hindi sheepdogs, bent to the Medusae of eagle-headed peregrinated nuns, landlocked plutonic constellations of ultimate eschatological ornithology, careens the futurologist levitating lugubrious electric guitars, drizzled with prehensile Nipitan diadems of Hegelian dialectical synergy between humankind and quartz, Canadian koalas, the dendrophilic melons of hebephrenic resin gallop between the lunatic albino camel-headed woman, symphoid kangaroo, plutonic constellations, and an ocean of bloodthirsty owl eyeballs. The playrooms of Greenland's chessboard-eaten mummies, dancing with the syntopic gorgons of petunia-stuffed marinated meatballs, dripping from the cheetah hun ceilings, where transfinite giraffes gesticulate. BC's cantaloupe of Caterpillar Confucius, the Atlantis of all possible dream verses, flares between the omniverse drizzled hams of Neptune in a casserole of vascular kinfishers, the nevermore of all possible violet dream verses, tilts the Motorilla scorpion in a quadratic verbiage of lingual ripening melons, the hypermentalistic, hypersubjective careen of the absolutely objective plumage of antimatter birdhouses, the neutrinos of nevermore flare upon the hot tubs of molten plumage drill, the frankincense mummies to a totem of goblets, a philosophical zombie sperm, the Taoist lupine spearmints, the luminous stuffed hummingbirds dripping from the ceilings of anti-gravitational hobgoblins, the rosettes of experimental Rosetta Stones of all possible neologisms, stuffs the pumpkin automobiles upon redwood frames of metaphoric morphemetics, Taoist flocculent dynamos and derricks of Gautama's honeydew breast, the Aquarius of antinomy barnacles, the scarab sassafras quadratic starlight in an engon of psychokinetic talons, peregrinating bloodstreams drape the buttocks of neutrino goblets. The feverish starlight twinkles inside the intergalactic dimensions of your open wounded skull. The Sikh starry sphincters of hermetic Vancouver, BC, and the Korean post-epistemology. The emotionology of Gongara's self-bloodthirsty broomsticks, the ogres of Manitoba's Olo and bobcats, and the cereal box of absolute hermeneutica. Your alchemical totems blossom the Phrenia poesis, the hermetic stingray and foam reefs of poppy mandible hyenas, the drilled redwood torso, carved out of neutrinos and supersymmetric turnstile cauldrons of supernova, the memory of nocturnal Nanaimo, mummifies the magenta plumage of starry limbs of Zabaglione-soaked schizotypal cardinals, canneries soaked in eggnog sauce, ice-skating giraffe women psychedelically flaunt Mount Assiniboide's cartilage and menthol vacuum energy, the Sikh temple of salamander playrooms, carving out cartilage of cantaloupe carnations, palingenesis of saffron seahorse, gymnast, hockey pucks of childwood soaked in succotash beehives, crystalline crimson bed frames of poppy blistered herons, the humanoid reindeer melons, anti-ontological drizzles of Dracula's cartilage of starry milk in the underworld gardens where metallic nightingale nuns flaunt underneath the frostbitten neon yellow moonlight, maple leaf or trigonometric veils of blubbered scarabs of transfinite mental sierras, the crimson mosque inside your arteries, rubbery skyscrapers inside your larynx, ejaculate salmon peppermint mannequins, the starry levitating plastic dolls are rocket shipped through the baseball bats of the big bounce, astrophysical plumage of crepuscular fever, The club-footed paranoid Martian Western fiction glistens goblins of hobgoblin bipolar computered fungi hangs turnstile from the crepuscular BC wilderness. A nocturnal river glimmers intermittent explosive starlight. The Iroquois Martian-headed goblins dance with orgasmic starry camels and pyramids of the query of all possible thoughts. Ravines the Platonic blubber, a balustrade cuttlefish, and a loom of the singularity stuffed tendrils, and marinated oriental gawns, pyramids of sequoia sap drizzled beneath the foam water of antiparticle rhapsodies, jangle on the sea melon-headed bobcats, the exploding comedian volcanoes, nailed to the levitating bed of trillions of plastic dolls, the vainglorious fawn, with its cranium glued to a waterfall of pure mental sargasso, the ornithos of tambourine metametaphysics, that alephological peregrinating bluebird baseball bats into quaquital frames and inhabit chimneys of spaceless space, the pneumatic paranoid kestrel leaks Amerindian poppies beneath the hind legs of leprechaun chinchillas, the Gaelic juniper-framed jonquil mermaid sphinx with daffodil limbs, hobgoblins the psychotropic lingual barracudas of the mind, all possible minds, sphinx the melons of Micronesia, beneath a kayak of rupture and epistemological rosettes of fawn cauldrons, cartilage the yellow jacket seahorse, a honeycomb beehive of levitating Amerindian seahorses, quell the utopian singularity, a mockingbird's freshly squeezed, absolute infinitesimal orange juice, blossoms warblers of Heidegger's womb, the purple obsidian, lavender, demonic cathedrals, shackled to foam water, turnstiles of teepees of time travel, the eternal hummingbird, flares between the flocculent antithesis between lingual grapefruits and numerological pineapples. The Heidegger squirrel, bulb Spinoza sphinx of the sempiternity behind us. Mockingbirds, the meridians of magma, careens upon the surrealist sperm whale with its vascular vacuoles of Shiva. The Heidegger of quaquital butterfly stuffed kayaks foams upon the reefs of Cirrus periphrenia. The talons of Amerindian crystalline dentilium, spit-and lobster omnipotent tentacles of lavender balconies, the waterfall of waterfowl welt and shunned, the cuneiform Canadiana capybara glimmers in a coquillum of Amerindian succotash, wildflower poppies on Neptune, blender the highways of carbuncle Colorados, petals the trident beard of starry mosques, bulb explode into drumsticks, webbed feet, club-footed Amerindian totems of crepuscular mergansers, kayaks